What was that like holding Abby for the first time?
You're gonna make me cry. This is terrible.
Oh, it's okay.
This is where I get it from, Matt.
Did you guys even put your baby in a car seat? Was that something that you did?
There wasn't even a seatbelt law then.
It wasn't a real safety car seat.
If you'd throw the brakes on, the baby'd probably fly.
Oh my gosh.
Through your life, do you feel like you've seen women's rights change a lot?
The opportunities for women have multiplied tremendously.
Didn't you have a mantra you had to say at your fitness class?
We had a thing we said.
My ex's poundage is there for all the world to see. What a fool I've been. Wow, how the times have changed. I feel very blessed to have such close relationships with both my grandmas. It's going to be funny having them together on this. We're going to get a little sassiness, a little humor, and it's going to be really sweet because I think the relationship I have with both of you guys is like very special.
It is really sweet. And I think what's so interesting, Diane and I were on a 1-hour drive to get here. I picked her up from her place out east, and we were driving, and we were just talking about all the differences between your generation and our generation. And I kind of want to get into that because something I was thinking about is when I brought our son home from the hospital, I was so nervous about, driving well below the speed limit on the highway and getting him perfectly positioned in his car seat. But when you guys drove home with your children from the hospital, did you guys even have car seats? Did you put your baby in a car seat? Was that something that you did?
I had those plastic.
Yeah, it wasn't a real safety car seat. It was just a seat that you could put a seatbelt around.
Yeah,
and
you
carry
could,
around everywhere.
But it had no protection.
No.
If you'd throw the brakes on, the baby'd probably fly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Did they go in the back seat?
No, I think I carried the baby in my arms and sitting in the passenger seat. Yeah. I carried the baby home.
You literally carried your baby in the passenger seat on the way home from the hospital, and that's what everybody did.
I think that's what I did.
Wow.
I don't remember, but I think
I know
so.
It's been a few years ago.
Did you,
Like
in the front
54.
seat? Wow.
Yeah.
Was
Different
there
time.
even a belt to buckle in the baby
you
carrier thing back in?
There wasn't even a seatbelt law then, was there?
Oh, I'm sure not.
No,
and I don't think they had those cross pieces. I think the seat belts were just, the first
Lap.
seat belts were just, around your waist.
Really?
Yeah.
It was-
The seat that you put the baby in was called an infant seat, and it was just a plastic, wasn't it? Was it just
I
plastic?
think so.
And you'd put a blanket in it and put the baby in it and hope for the best.
Wow.
Hope for the best. Don't throw the brakes on.
And your infant seat probably didn't turn into like a baby carrier or turn into a stroller like we have today.
I had a stroller.
So that was
But it was a
that was
separate stroller,
Yeah,
right?
separate. It wasn't part of the.
Because you've seen how Augie's
infant
like
seat.
pops into a
oh
stroller.
heavens, no, that's new age to me.
Yeah, it's even new for now.
Yeah.
Was that even a thought when you're holding your baby in the passenger seat on the highway? Were you thinking, hey, maybe they should invent something to make this a little bit safer?
No, I don't think so. I wasn't inventive.
Were you allowed to have your husbands in the room when you had a baby back then?
No.
See, I heard that because actually I was watching I Love Lucy, and I was like, "That's crazy." But that was before when you guys were having babies. But still, I wonder when that was that you could have your spouse in the room.
Now you say before. I mean, I remember watching I Love Lucy on TV as an adult. Didn't you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it came out in the 50s, so I'm just talking about when they filmed it.
Okay.
Wasn't it the 50s?
I remember watching it when I lived at home with my parents. I think I remember my mother really cracking up.
The 50s. That goes way back.
Yeah,
You're almost at the
that's-
beginning of television there.
I was 10 years old in 54.
Wow.
51
Are
is
you
when it
kidding?
premiered.
I Love Lucy
Oh my
premiered in
gosh.
51.
So I guess I was
Okay.
living at home with my parents.
Yeah, 51 to 57.
But
Really?
then they showed
I think they just
reruns for years after that, I think.
But it was the same when you guys, because you were having babies in the 70s. No,
I did.
no husbands in there.
Was it ever a thought, like, were there any progressive women that were saying, hey, let's have our husbands in the delivery room? Was anybody saying that at the time?
Probably. I don't remember. I mean, you just have to go by what the hospital rules are.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that was a rule at the
Oh,
hospital.
yeah.
Even if you as a
Don't you
woman
think
wanted your
allowed?
husband
think
back
so.
there,
Yeah, it was
they would
allowed. I
say
don't think
no,
it was
not
allowed.
allowed.
Yeah, I
No.
don't think it was.
And I imagine it's the hospital that didn't allow it.
Yeah, it
What
was the
about while you're in
hospital
labor though? Could
rules.
they be with you during labor, just not the delivery?
Correct.
So once
Oh,
you're about to
wow.
deliver the baby, they had to leave.
Once they wheeled you away from the
Labor room.
and took you to the delivery room.
Wow.
You
Is
say
that
goodbye.
for modesty?
Interesting.
I have no clue.
That's interesting.
Maybe they just didn't want to mess with
Well, probably.
with a nervous father in there.
I mean, they don't
know.
let spouses in there for surgeries now, so it's probably just like a
For
medical
surgeries?
practice.
I didn't really know that you could go in for surgery.
No, they don't usually.
Oh, I know.
They will let them for C-sections, but they don't let you, the spouse, in there like when you get your spinal tap or anything. So it's probably just like per the hospital, but now universally husbands are allowed in there.
And I want to
It's
say,
kind of sad that the dad couldn't be there when the baby first arrived.
Vicky, I think Abby told me that you got like knocked out or something for the birth
Yes,
of your kids, right?
The medication that they gave me it just put me to sleep.
Wow. So
You
you
just
just
woke up
woke
and you
up
had
and
a
your
baby.
I
baby's
woke
there.
up and I said, I asked, have I had my baby? I had a horrible headache. And so she put her hand on me. She said, yes, you have. I said, what was it? Because you didn't know.
You
either.
didn't know?
No. They didn't have ultrasound or whatever it is was that what you have to see what the sex of the baby is?
Yeah.
And blood tests too also show that.
No, I didn't. Did you?
Did you
You
know
don't even
what?
remember?
Did you know what your baby was before the baby came
That's
out?
terrible to ask me that. I don't know if
No,
I knew or not.
People did.
I don't
people,
think so.
No, people didn't.
I don't think so.
It was a guessing game.
But I was totally out as well. For
You were knocked out as well?
For Lori. For my,
Yeah.
So there was a
oldest.
switch that happened.
And then some, then
what-
I barely made it to the hospital. So I wasn't, not only was I not out, I wasn't there early enough to get anything different. But no, it was very typical to give you drugs that you weren't.
to knock you out.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then, since you weren't awake, a lot of times they had to use forceps to deliver the baby. I know
Really?
Matt had a very dented head.
Oh.
And his head was very long because I had been in labor for, what they call pre-labor for several days.
That's totally different now.
Yes, it's
Right.
much better now.
So you were knocked out for both babies?
No, with Michael, I didn't even know that they kept that great of records. But I think my doctor knew that that the amount that they had given me, 3 years earlier was too much, and so they cut it back, and so I wasn't completely out.
Oh, so the goal wasn't
And I think
to
he was
knock-
born pretty fast,
Okay.
too.
Crazy.
Yeah, he was born early too. He was very early.
It's kind of fun that it was like always a surprise. But like, did you have any inklings with your kids? Because you had 2 boys, you had 2 girls. Do you have any inklings like, I think it's the same, or?
People always were guessing, weren't they? I know people at church will say, I think you're going to have a boy because they had their own philosophies about.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I want to say people were having 4, 5, 6 kids. So why 2? I feel like 2 was probably very different than the culture at the time.
2 was considered what you should have.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe it was more so my great grandpa, because I think during his time, everyone seemed to be having tons of children. But 2 was pretty standard at that time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they probably didn't have birth control when you're.
Oh yeah. We're talking about my great grandpa. Yeah, I don't think birth control existed back then. Yeah.
I think 2 is probably standard now too, I would say.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people that don't even have kids now.
Yeah, that's true.
Driving home from the hospital with a new baby, who knows what they're doing at that? You have no clue what you're in for. Raising a child, it's huge.
But you were also in the hospital for, how long were you
Several
in the hospital?
days, several days.
I know, I was in for a week
I
afterwards.
was too.
A week?
Yeah.
Why a week?
That was
you're-
standard.
And you would be so weak. I mean, I was weak as a kitten when I came home.
Because you had
Was-
so much medication.
Well, you had a lot of stitches from the
Oh yeah.
from the forceps and everything, and so you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember getting up and walking. And do you?
I remember getting up and getting the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, right. That's true.
But they took the baby away at night and or when you were sleeping and took your baby to the nursery so you could get some sleep.
Wow. See, we didn't have that at all. For us,
They don't do that anymore.
They don't do that anymore. So for us, we were up all throughout the night with our baby.
Yeah, well,
And it's almost like I almost wish Abby and I could have been in separate rooms, because then I was with our child, but Abby was
recovering
awake
from surgery, but no sleep.
So she wasn't able to get out of bed, but she was still awake while I was helping our sons. So that's interesting. So yeah, your baby was in a nursery. You got to sleep through the night.
Yeah, I can see both sides though, because like it's really, really difficult for a mom to feel like, I'm sure it was hard for them to take your baby out of the room and you're like, wait a minute, like I just had that baby, like don't walk away with that. Like I want to have eyes on that at all times. But maybe also since you were expecting it and you were in a hospital, it's like a trusted, safe place. You're like,
kind of knew the rules.
I feel like we've like had very extreme differences in our like birthing. Because like for me, even after C-section, like the painkillers were kind of like, do you want this? I think a lot of people opted to take the painkillers, at least one or two of them. But like ibuprofen after surgery. And it's like, okay, well, and here's your newborn baby.
Let's talk about teaching, because I know both of you were teachers back in the day, and I know teaching has changed so much over the past 40, 50 years. Were you allowed to spank your students when you were a teacher?
Usually, if you felt that was necessary, you'd take, and in my case, you'd take the child to the principal.
And the principal would do it.
And they would make that decision. They would do it. Was that the way it was for you?
Sure, I would. I've never spanked a student. I wouldn't. But but back then it was acceptable. But it was the principal that would do it.
Interesting.
With a witnesses, I recall.
And was that for kids that were first, second grade? Like what age does that go up to?
That's what I taught. Was the lower grades, like first, second grade mostly.
Yeah, were the kids all afraid of the principal then?
Well, maybe the kids who were naughty might not have liked the principal.
Did you have some pretty naughty kids back in the day?
Well, it's not that they were not. I think really I said that. A lot of the kids that I happened to teach were, they came from homes where they had very big challenges. Let's put it that way. Very big challenges.
Gotcha. Was it a lower income school, or just a school that had kids that grew up in a tough environment, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
For me, not her, right?
No, not necessarily.
So you were teaching at a public school, and then you taught at a private school.
She's a private school.
And did you know each other at the time? Were you aware of who? Because you were in the same town, right?
I didn't know Diane until Matt and Lori.
Really?
Not true. Because your younger son dated her younger daughter.
Oh, wait.
That's right. That's true.
Wait, we got to talk about.
I don't think you should talk about that.
You guys could have had double cousins. This could have been a double cousin situation.
Many years ago.
You didn't initially meet each other when Matt and Lori were dating. It was when Matt and Lori's siblings were dating.
Yeah, right. That's right.
What were your first impressions of each other?
I guess.
I don't know if we met.
I don't know.
It wasn't that serious.
No, I don't think we met then.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember. Sorry, I don't remember.
I know,
at
I
least
don't either.
if we did.
That's
I
funny.
don't remember our first meeting at all.
I don't either.
Yeah.
What is your first memory of meeting each other? Was it when mom and dad were like getting pretty serious, or was it earlier on? You don't remember?
No clue.
I think you may have invited us to your home. I remember that Greg had he really loved antiques, and you had a lot of really interesting antiques in your house. That's kind of something I remember.
Well, that's interesting.
I should tell you I remember that time well, but I don't remember it at all.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Well, what was the wedding planning like? I guess mom probably did most of the planning for the wedding. Did she? Or did you do a lot of planning?
I don't know. Seems like we did it together.
Yeah.
I don't remember one of us doing all of it or a lot.
It's much easier to be the mother of the groom than it is to be the mother of the bride.
I actually want to know about that, because I'm kind of worried about being the mother of the groom. I feel like, do you feel like you feel less involved? Like you probably feel less involved.
Your main responsibility is a rehearsal dinner.
That's true. You get your own thing. I wonder if also the tradition will change by the time. I think it's already kind of changing. Like by the time Griffin and Augie get married, I want to be involved, but like you don't want to feel like you're, I don't know, overstepping in a way. Because even though it's about the couple, it is kind of widely viewed as like the bride's day in a way.
Well, Diane, did you guys foot the bill? I know typically the tradition is the bride's family pays for the wedding. So was that something that you guys did back then?
I think we pretty well did that, except for the rehearsal dinner then was always
and the honeymoon, right?
There were rules that, you could kind of halfway follow at least.
Yeah.
You didn't have to think too hard about things, so.
That's fun.
Yeah. It's weird that that's the standard too. It's like maybe it should be a 50-50 split, or it's like also why are the parents even paying for it?
It could be individual parents make those decisions.
Yeah. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this portion of today's episode.
Do you want easy, ready-to-eat meals that are fresh, never frozen? Because I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Factor. They're delicious.
We love Factor in our household. There's something about the sun setting earlier in the day when it's like pitch black out at night when you're just starting to prepare dinner that's like, this doesn't feel right. So it's really nice that with Factor, like Matt said, it's ready in 2 minutes. You just pop it in the microwave. They taste delicious. So flavorful.
They're great for lunch though, because I don't know about you guys, but in the middle of the day, I'm just trying to get things done. I'm trying to knock out my to-do list. And so 2 minutes, it's like, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm gonna pop in my Factor meal for 2 minutes in the microwave, and then you're out of the bathroom, and boom, I know, you stack it all up, and you're so efficient. So
they can cater to what you need in your diet, such as managing calories, maximizing protein intake, avoid meat, or simply just eating well-balanced meals. They have guilt-free comfort foods like home-style chicken and gravy and loaded mashed potato, pork chops, feel-good vegan options like sweet potato and chickpea curry, and globally inspired flavors like Peruvian shrimp and red pepper curly grits. They're like flavor bombs, which you don't usually get in ready-made food like that. So we love Factor, love that it helps us meet our protein goals and other nutrient goals we have. So head to factormeals.com/50unplanned and use code 50unplanned to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code 50unplanned at factormeals.com/50unplanned to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is active.
What were your first memories of Abby's parents being together? Because I don't know if you've ever asked your grandmas what it was like.
I've had a lot of conversations. Didn't the people call my mom and dad Ken and Barbie or whatever?
Yeah, they were a very cute couple. I was delighted with Lori. She was a darling blonde girl, so cute, and she was a catch for Matt, a real catch for Matt. And he really hadn't dated much.
Yeah, I want to actually know this because they both tell me, they're like, I never dated. And I'm like, is that true?
I think they both could have. They just were very selective people.
Okay.
And, they weren't going to go out just to go out. They wanted to make sure they really liked the person.
That's sweet. Man, maybe the love story was as pure as they say it was.
So they both never dated anybody before.
Well, I don't,
that's not true of Lori. But
I don't know. Matt, really not very much. There might have been one other girl or maybe two at college, but I don't. He did not go to prom or homecoming.
I want to know this.
Really?
You're Mrs. Social, and your son
Matt is not
Mr. Social.
No,
he's Mr. Antisocial.
But your granddaughter is Mrs. Social.
I know.
skips a generation.
Yeah. What happened?
Skipped a generation there. That's funny.
Yeah, I wanted him to, and his brother did those things, but not Matt.
That make you sad that he didn't go to prom?
I wished he would, but you can't force somebody to do something like that.
If you don't want to go, then that would be really miserable.
Yeah, I don't even think he went with boys. Sometimes guys go together, but I don't recall that he even did that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I liked his guy friends. He had nice friends, so I didn't have any big complaints about him that way.
So you must have been so excited when your son, who didn't go to prom junior or senior year, now has this girl.
Yeah.
And everyone's calling them Barbie and Ken.
They were
fun.
a real cute couple.
I remember, I think Matt was like really, really strong back in the day. Like he runs a lot now. Abby's dad is named Matt also, by the way, for anybody who's confused. But he apparently used to like go to the gym every day in college. So he must have been.
Well, he played soccer, so he's on the soccer team for school. And so that was part of it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom always shows me pictures that she took on her digital camera and printed off. She's like, this is what your dad looked like in college. And I'm like, thanks for showing me that. But yeah, they were a cute couple. I look back at their pictures and they look like the classic like 90s couple. What was it like when you found out that you were going to have a granddaughter, your first granddaughter?
I didn't know that it was a granddaughter, did you? Maybe you knew, but I didn't.
You didn't know that I was a girl?
No.
Well, they told my parents I was a boy. Did you know that? It wasn't until a final
later
appointment.
On, that's right. They knew.
I think your mom was really sad about it.
She was really sad because they wanted a girl. And then, like, one of the last appointments, they're like, you know what you're having, right? When she had an ultrasound, and she's like, yeah, boy. And they're like, nope, it's a girl. And they were, like, so shocked and really happy about that.
Well, I really wanted a girl because after having 2 boys, I was hoping to have a little girl in the family.
That's sweet. Grandma was like, I had all girls, but that's fun.
What was that like holding Abby for the first time?
Oh, you're going to make me cry. It's awesome.
Sweet.
It was.
Oh.
I took that half day off from school, and I was so looking forward to it. Oh, this is terrible.
Oh, it's okay. Can I give you a hug?
Get that. No, I want a Kleenex would be better. A Kleenex
I'll go
would
find
be
your
better.
Kleenex.
Right there behind the...
Oh, gosh.
I got you.
It's okay. I cry all the time on the... This is where I get it from, Matt, by the way.
No, wait. I'm so sorry. This makes sense because I've told Abby this. I feel like she is, in a way, a carbon clone of you, Vicky. Like
but poor thing, don't say that.
No, like, you guys are so
Do not
similar.
say that.
So it kind of...
She's not, but she was a blessing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's more detail to that, but we're not going into that. But
Yeah.
she was a blessing. And I took that, I was so excited. I took a half day off school because I would have taken the whole day, but your mother was going to be induced like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, wasn't it?
Your memory is
I remember
better than
that.
mine.
Yes, I definitely remember that. And I thought, well, I shouldn't take the whole day off, but I'll take a half. And I couldn't. Oh my feet weren't even touching the ground when I left the school that day. And we went to the hospital and waited a long time, didn't we?
Yeah.
How old were you guys when you became grandparents?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see.
Let's do the math.
I can do the math on this.
Well, Abby, you're
Okay.
25.
If I was,
You were
45. You were 45. No.
I'm
55.
old. I'm
55.
quite a bit older than her.
Like 50 and 55?
55 and
I'm-
51,
I am
right?
like 4 years older than her, at least, aren't I?
something like that.
Diane, what was that like holding Abby for the first time? Realizing that
mean,
you're a grandparent.
It is just magical. I mean,
It is.
You can't describe that. You
Yeah.
know? It's just.
Were you there when I was born?
Of course.
Like in the hospital room?
We were in the
probably
waiting.
not.
We were in a
room,
waiting
but I
room.
was
We
in
were
the
in the
waiting
waiting
room.
room.
Oh, okay.
It's so interesting being on the other side of it because I know when Abby was giving birth, especially for like Augie was so fast because it was a C-section, but for Griffin it was a lot. It was very intense, especially with the shoulder dystocia. There was a lot of blood, but like it's
like
interesting.
still working through the trauma.
It was traumatic. Let's just put it there. But like when you're on the other side of it, I felt so bad for Abigail, my sister-in-law. Her dad, I could just tell, was so.
We were in the
worried.
waiting room for a long time with CJ.
We were in the waiting room for my nephew, and
and then we didn't even get to see him.
Yeah, because of how intense. There was an emergency C-section for her birth, and
That's so scary.
I don't envy the grandparents in the waiting room. I mean, it's sweet, but it's so nerve-wracking.
It's intense.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Did you expect us to get pregnant when we did? Did you guys see that coming, or was that a shock? Because Abby was. Well,
Wait, we should start at the beginning. When we started dating, what were your first impressions of Matt?
Oh, I liked
Be
Matt.
brutally honest.
I liked Matt.
He can take it.
It's okay. We know that you called me a narcissist at one point. It's okay. We can get over that.
I remember the first time I saw you at the Muni, and you were such a cute guy, and you were of the same personality and talent and all, and that was a dream come true. And I was in St. Louis at the hotel for your first date, and I can remember lying awake and. I got to find out how this went.
Oh my gosh! Wait, you were awake.
We
You
were talking about you a long time before the date.
You were talking to your grandmas about me?
I'm pretty sure. We talked about you for a long time.
Yes, a long time before you actually had a date.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think because your mother told me about, she says, there's this great guy that would make a great guy for Abby. He's handsome. They have so many similarities. They both love acting, and he's outgoing like Abby and everything, you know.
For years before
she told us about you. And,
Oh, this was for years before I even asked Abby
At
on a
least
date?
2 years.
Well,
It was a while.
A while.
A year or two.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about the guys that Abby had been on dates with in the past? 'Cause I know she had been on a few dates before me. I wasn't her first.
They were nice kids.
They were not. Grandma's like, I'm not gonna bash them.
I know. There was nothing to bash about them.
There really weren't that many.
No, she just had dates for special occasions, but nothing serious.
I just had dates for fun, man.
Yeah, like for prom and homecoming.
Just to keep it fun.
I thought it was funny how you like completely turned guys down when they asked to kiss you. You just said no.
No.
You said no.
They wouldn't. I would tell. They wouldn't even ask it. I wouldn't let them get that far. It was like before we got on a date, I'd be like, by the way, we're not gonna kiss. Just don't even try. Why was I like that?
Yeah.
Because I had these ladies in my corner. They're like, no, we're too good for that. That's funny. So then, what did you think about us getting married when we did?
Well, I knew your parents were very concerned about that. And actually, we were kind of on your side, but we didn't really want to try to promote, something.
The bad influence.
Well, not bad, but I mean, we didn't want to. But you came to our house to tell us how bad it was, that things weren't going so well.
Yeah.
And we did think you were very young, and really kind of preferred that you had finished college before you got married. Mm-hmm. We thought that was what you should really do, but it really wasn't our decision. Mm-hmm. We were a couple generations removed.
Well, it's a tough place as a grandparent because I'm so close with with both of you, so I would confide in you, but then you're in a tough place because you're allowed to have your own opinions, of course, and I would go to you both for advice, but then also there's the parents first, and you were both very respectful of that. But you're probably okay, why is my granddaughter getting married younger than I did 2 generations later? Probably
and
crazy.
Younger than her parents did too.
Yep, younger than parents. Yeah, I got married younger than both my grandparents and my parents.
And your parents.
I guess I was a rebel,
Wow.
you could say.
We were rebels.
Apparently.
Breaking the rules.
It worked.
It worked.
It did.
Yeah, I think that from the outside, probably life stage wise, it's a natural transition, graduate from college, then get married. But it's just when you meet your partner so young, then it doesn't necessarily always fit that life stage too.
You made it work.
Yeah. Well, then how did you feel about your son-in-law, grandson-in-law dropping out of college? Let's talk about that.
Oof. Gotta throw me under the bus there.
That one probably hurt more than getting married.
I wish that you would have, but it's obvious that it wasn't necessary.
He was
Hindsight
close.
is a lot better on this one
Yeah.
than at the time.
Yes, true, very
and
true.
it obviously, like you say, it worked, but it would have been my choice. But
that wasn't the thing you brought up at your women's groups. Oh, by the way, Abby's husband, Matt, dropped out of college.
No.
You kind of left that one unsaid.
I remember, Diane, I think you were trying to talk me into being a pilot after I dropped out of college or something, and I was thinking,
that would have been a good idea.
I don't think she understands the opportunity there is here with TikTok. This is
That's probably
this is a really,
My goodness, we had no clue. No clue.
yeah.
I remember when you first started doing it, you got a free pizza. Well, that's nice.
We got a free pizza?
You got some free Mexican food. Some Mexican,
yeah, I
some
even remember
Mexican franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember? And I thought,
Yeah.
well, that's nice.
Shout out to Moe's.
I had no clue how it could go from there.
Oh, I was thrilled. I was like, we're getting
You got a burrito DoorDash to our
Paid?
house.
to make a TikTok video. It was the craziest thing. It just didn't make any sense.
Didn't you know that would happen?
I thought it would, but I didn't think it would happen that fast. And then I didn't think it would become, I thought it'd be like a side hustle. How people, teachers will work as a teacher and then they'll make some side income.
In the summer they do
to
something
support,
else.
Yeah, they'll do sales for
Fun
something
money.
or like what is like Mary Kay was a big thing, I think, probably in your generation, like selling makeup. So people would have like a side hustle that they do. So in my head, like the social media thing was a side hustle. And yeah, so that was bonkers to me.
Was that so weird for you guys? Is it still weird?
It's still weird.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of unbelievable.
It is. It really is.
Thank you to ZocDoc for sponsoring this portion of today's episode.
I do not like waiting at the doctor's office. I think it's such a waste of time. I've never been a fan of it. With ZocDoc, you can schedule same-day appointments so that you can meet with a doctor on your phone, on an app. It's so fast. It's so convenient. It's actually how I was diagnosed with ADHD and was able to be prescribed some medication for that. It's also how I talked to a doctor about my concussion symptoms, and they told me to go to the ER to get my head scanned because of all my symptoms. So that was really helpful. ZocDoc has basically really helped me out.
Yeah, if you don't know, ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare highly qualified in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health to eye care to skin care and much more. Like we said, it is so user-friendly. If you're someone that's kind of all over the place like us, it can be really overwhelming to figure out how to find, a primary care doctor in your area and how to know if they're good or if they're compatible with your insurance. ZocDoc makes that super, super simple for you. And like Matt said, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. And you can even score same-day appointments, which we personally have done many times. So whether it's a sick visit or a well visit or whatever you need, ZocDoc has it. I use ZocDoc and you should too. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/unplanned to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/unplanned. ZocDoc.com/unplanned. It's cool that you guys were in our videos even when we first started. We did a video with the two grandmas way back.
Yep, 3 years
Driving
ago.
in through the fast food. That was so fun. I love having those videos. You guys have always been supportive, good sports about it, and really fun.
Yeah. Those are always
Do you find that it's hard to describe to your friends what we do for work?
Yes. It is. Our friends, I'll say, well, they have a lot of followers, so they can kind of be like, they're like good advertisers, and that makes a lot of money to do that. And I know my hairdresser, Chris, he doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it?
Yeah, how do you explain, talk to me more about how you explain what your granddaughter does to your friends.
I don't think I explain it very well.
Yeah,
I just say that they do TikToks, YouTube, and Instagram. Well, of course, the young people are very familiar with that, but older people don't quite get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends totally on who you're talking to, what age they are. If they're under a certain age, I mean, this is, they probably know, at this point, they know who you are anyway. But,
really? That's so wild. Have you ever been noticed from being in our YouTube videos?
A couple of times.
Who recognized you and where was it?
Just recently, I was in Dollar General, and this really sweet young woman, the same age as Abby, said something to me. I saw her smile at me in the parking lot, and I just smiled back. I thought, well, what a friendly, sweet girl. And then in the store, she came up to me and she said, "You're Abby's grandma, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, I am." And she went on. She said, "I went to school with her, and she told me your name, and that she liked you a lot, and she followed you. Remember, I told you about her."
Yeah, I remember her. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, and then one time I was in the grocery store, and just a very young girl came up to me and said something about seeing me on something. And then there's been people at my church have told me so.
And Diane, I think there was a time where you were subbing. You were substitute teaching at a school. What happened there?
Just like within the last 5 years or whatever. And it's my claim to fame because they knew who you. I don't know how they knew the connection. Maybe you had been there, before. And anyway, they all looked up all these things on YouTube and were playing them.
Great.
And I
We
had
made a
no
video
problem.
for them, Matt.
Yeah, and you made a video for them.
Well, they sent us cards. It was
so
so
sweet.
sweet. It was a
Yes, they
7th
did.
grade class, right? Or was
Yeah.
it multiple grades?
That was a 7th grade class.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they
wrote
all
us
made us
cards.
cards, handwritten.
No, this was up in Lombard.
Yeah, and then we
Oh.
made a video thanking the
I
class that you were
think one of
subbing
the
for.
7th graders' card was like, I don't know who you guys are, but I just looked you up on YouTube and that's awesome. I'm with your grandma. And I was like, thank you, buddy. Like, he's like, I don't know, I'm just here, but I want to write a card.
Yeah.
Really sweet.
To get your fame from your grandchildren is an interesting,
Yes.
an interesting situation. I'm
That's
all
silly.
for it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of unusual.
I remember.
But I had no problem with any discipline in class. I'll tell you what. Or they would do anything I'd want if I'd promised to, give you a message or maybe have you send them a little video or something.
I'd be happy to do it anytime
So,
to make your life easier.
so
That's
they're
funny.
good kids.
Is it so weird, looking back at how schools have changed from when you taught in the 70s, 80s? It's so different now. And you mentioned those kids and how they're looking stuff up on their phones during class. Like, did you ever see any of that coming? Like, did you ever think,
No.
40 years ago, 50 years ago, that this is how the world would be?
Of course not. I have a 10-year-old grandson, and I follow him currently. I'm following him. His teacher posts almost every day pictures and things that are going on in their class.
Yeah.
And I get it on my laptop. I follow him. I could on my phone, but I'm not set up to do that. So I watch him on laptop, and I just love all the things they do now. I wish I'd known about these things. For instance, we had the kids sit at desks for the most part, and then a lot of teachers went to the tables. I never really did. I pushed desks together, but I still wanted to have their stuff in their desk instead of having them in a cubby. I wasn't really doing it the way they liked, but I like the way my grandson's class and his sister and brother before him, I followed them whenever it was their choice, whether or not they post this information. But they can sit almost anywhere they want, any way they want, and sometimes there are kids who get really, have energy they can go and jump on a trampoline or something to kind of get their energy. Just wonderful ideas like that. Those are all new to me. Were you familiar with those?
No.
I think they call it alternative seating, in school.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And I really wasn't familiar with it. And then I just saw something not too long ago. They were doing a math sheet, and she turned the lights off in the room, and they could use flashlights to do their math sheet, just fun ways to do things.
That's cute.
And I can't even begin to describe all the fun.
That's nice of the teacher to post that. Like,
Yeah,
that's
it
a
is.
whole lot of work to
it is
keep
a lot
that
of work.
updated.
Yeah, she posts that and puts little sentences under explaining what they're doing and takes several pictures, and you can just see, hoping you'll see your grandson in one of the pictures, and so it's really neat.
Well, Grandma, you were also an entrepreneur.
True.
Owned a business. You did that for
For 13 years.
for almost about as much time as you taught.
Right.
And that's cool. Grandma owned a learning supplies store called Learning Express.
Learning Adventures.
Learning Adventures. What the heck?
Yes.
How did you forget?
I don't know how I forgot learning. I spent time.
I was
remember
actually a
learning
customer
adventures.
of hers.
I
You were a
remember
customer.
Yeah.
Very
the
cool.
teachers would go.
It was
It
great
was a big
because
deal.
you could look and see instead of ordering. I don't like to order things. I like to see what I'm buying. I loved that they had the store where you could go and see.
Yeah, Grandma, you
Because
should talk
teachers-
about learning adventures.
And you used to come and sit on the counter and
Yeah.
and look at all the pencils. We had all the.
I loved the pencils.
Yes, you were pretty
And
small when we sold finally, I guess.
I still
Well, yes.
remember it though because I remember like you guys doing the inventory and like they would just like go and count everything like literally.
Literally, we did a lot of things by hand that
By
aren't done
hand.
by hand anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I was helping by counting the pencils and stuff, but
There you go. I'm sure
definitely
you
wasn't
were.
helping. But
And teachers would go because teachers would have to use their own money to buy
Well,
some
they
of the
probably
school
still
supplies.
do,
Yeah.
but yes, lots of money.
Yeah, we would spend a lot, but also I know in our public school system, we were allotted, each teacher was allotted so much money for supplies.
Okay.
Like getting ready for the next year, maybe.
Yeah.
And I would go there and get stuff for my next school year.
You guys they also had like educational toys. Like core memories from going to Grandma's house growing up is we played that game Some Swamp.
I still have it.
It's a good one. It's a math like board game. Like I feel like I was raised by elementary educators and like people like with like that cared about curriculum and like educational games. My mom was a teacher too, so it was like I was raised by that stuff. I'm like, I know any educational game. Leapfrogs, big deal. Like I just remember all that stuff, and so it was no brainer that like in my mind when I was switching out of acting, I was like, well, I know what it looks like to be a teacher, or like to be like educational resources. So
It's sweet seeing how your grandmas look at you because you can just tell they adore you.
Aww.
It's true.
It's sweet.
That is true.
Maybe that's why I'm so confident, Matt. I have them like the best cheerleaders ever.
Yeah, no, it's so cool though because like they've seen you grow up from the time you were literally a baby. And you got to hold you the day you were born. So it's really sweet to see that.
They would like they were great. Like I remember you picking me up from preschool and grandma, like we just like had so many like traditions. And also like growing up, grandma, we would go on like trips as a family, and I feel like that was like foundational for my like love of travel. And like the way that can bond a family, like that was like, oh, I want to do that with my own family and like make memories, and we still are doing that, and so that's really cool.
Well, tell me more about Abby though, because I know Abby was speaking at like competitions and events when she was 12 and working alongside the mayor of Quincy
to
help like
junior high.
She opened the new bridge that it's so colorful and beautiful and vibrant. I mean, tell me about this girl, because you guys probably thought she was going to be the president one day. I mean, she still could. She really still could be. But, that must have been really cool to see your granddaughter just go out and do so much at such a young age.
I think community theater was kind of her launching pad for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in the best Christmas pageant ever. She and her brother, were you like 7 and 5?
Yeah, Blake was in kindergarten. Because I remember growing up, I was so mad that my mom didn't start me as young as Blake. I was like, you should have started me at kindergarten. I was behind when I got into theater, which obviously
it didn't obviously make any difference.
No.
And I just, on your phone, how pictures pop up of past memories sometimes. And it had some of your Goonie Bird Green stuff on there.
Oh, I know. I've got that book.
And that was just amazing what you could do. How old were you?
She was 9 years old, fourth grade.
Was in fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
Yes. The memorization of those lines.
Of the whole script, the whole play you were in.
I think I saw every performance.
And you were so good. I'm sure I did too.
It was just awesome. It really was. It was.
Yeah.
It was so.
And then Abby makes it into the Muni, the oldest and largest outdoor musical theater in North America. That must have been a really big deal for you guys, because you're living in this small town, and she drove up for the auditions. What was going through your mind when you heard that she made it into this?
They drove up too.
They did.
So what was going through your mind when you heard she made it into this theater?
But not for all those. How many weeks did you reherse? And
Don't you
had
rehearse
to
for like
be
3
in
weeks?
St. Louis for all that, and so
Yeah.
that was really a commitment
for
you and for your mother.
Mostly for my mom.
One play.
Yeah.
For how many was it? 4 years in a row. 4 years in a row, and we knew somebody in Quincy who had season tickets to the Muni, and your mom would make arrangements for us to get them and pay him back for them, so we could have, is it called box seats, right in the front? Because I remember the first performance, we were back away. I can't see her. It was frustrating.
You had to look quick.
You didn't have big roles. Well, the last one you had quite a few when you were a flying monkey and all that.
My big debut.
Yeah.
Well, that was when Abby and I first started dating.
The Muni is an awesome place to go. There's nothing like outdoor theater in the summertime there. Oh, it's the best place in the world.
Go and sweat a little.
You should be a part of their marketing team. I mean, you could.
It's wonderful.
But I think it's incredible. Like my grandparents were road tripping to see me in like 30 seconds of the show every single year. They made it a priority, got a hotel, probably went more than once. Like,
I think we stayed with Mike and Jen.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you did get a hotel sometimes because the shows were late, but like I had so much support and so many people,
Yeah, it was good.
so many cheerleaders growing up,
It was fun. It really was.
and now. So
Did you ever have to, I don't know, discipline Abby as a kid, or was she always just a good kid? Was she always just good,
she was
to
a good kid.
to her soul?
No, I didn't have to discipline her.
that's not true. I'm sure you disciplined me.
Blake, maybe, not you.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Are you depressed? Because I have been there, and BetterHelp is great. I'm just saying, therapy is amazing. If you're going through something and you don't feel like you can talk to someone about it, definitely consider talking to a therapist. And an easy, quick way that you can talk to someone from the convenience of your own home is BetterHelp. What's really nice about BetterHelp is if you don't really vibe with your therapist, you're not a huge fan, you can change anytime, free of charge. It's not an upcharge. There's no extra payment required. You can just say, hey, this wasn't a good fit. Let's try out a different therapist. And they make it really easy to do that.
Even if you're not in a very low place, therapy is beneficial for so many people, whether it's just like, oh, I need help with better conflict resolution in my life, or I'm struggling with this. Just having a neutral person to just kind of speak into those areas is beneficial for really anybody.
Yeah.
And especially as we're going into the new year, setting new goals, it's really nice to have support like that.
Totally.
And if you're thinking of starting therapy, BetterHelp is a great option because it's completely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out an online questionnaire and they match you with a therapist. Like Matt said, you can switch at any time. So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/unplannedpodcast today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/unplannedpodcast.
Back to, being inside a vehicle at that time. Did you ever get into any accidents without a seatbelt on, since seatbelts weren't a thing? Was that must have been pretty uncomfortable.
Grandma, you did, and you were pregnant.
Oh yes, I was. It wasn't a very fast moving. I was on State Street. Somebody bumped me from behind, and when I got out of the car, I was pretty far along, and the guy behind me was just scared to death. Says, "Are you all right?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
he could see a belly, like
Yeah,
he was aware that you were pregnant.
yeah.
Oh, that is a big
I was
no-no.
about 9 months.
Oh no.
Well, he was born a little bit early, so I was about as far as I was going to get.
Yeah.
I think it was like the week before he was born, and the man who was very concerned for me, but I was okay. I think my car was too.
Well, were you how fast were you going though when he hit you?
Not fast at all.
Okay. I feel like that's probably one of the worst things you could do is hit a pregnant woman. I mean, that's awful. That's pretty bad.
It's
Yeah.
a wonder any of us made it to adulthood the way car safety was. Do you remember lying up in the back window of the car?
I do.
There was a shelf back there, between the window and we used to take turns riding up there. You could look out the back. That was
true.
That was a lot of fun.
You just take a nap in the car, no seatbelt or anything.
Cars were really bigger on the inside. Because I can
we were
remember
just
being down in the being on the floor, sitting on the floorboard.
Oh yeah. And when we'd go on vacation, we always had a station wagon. We'd put the seats down, and we always slept. I mean, that was just typical. You just slept, with your sleeping bags back there, and
we didn't have a station wagon, but we would. My dad would try to drive through. We just went to Tennessee, and we would try to drive through in one day to get there, so we wouldn't be staying in hotels.
Oh, we did too.
Well, I know you and your family would go up to Alaska in a camper, right?
Well, yes, we did once. We drove all the way to Alaska.
And wasn't there a situation where you were sliding off a cliff on a glacier and you thought you were going to die?
Ask my daughters, and
They're
think their
traumatized.
life think their life was about over. Yeah, it just sort of started sliding down.
And no seatbelts, so.
And it wouldn't have helped you if you
Yeah, exactly.
wouldn't have saved you at that point.
To this day, if we're ever even remotely close to a mountain
Just
and I'm
driving next to one. Mom's like, I hate this
It's
is
scarred her
unsafe.
for life, I'm sure.
She's like, this is unsafe. We're
That
like,
scarred
to
me
drive
for
next
life,
to
too.
it.
Yeah, Lori is always so uncomfortable with mountains because I think it's that situation where you guys were on that glacier in Alaska that scarred her for life. Yeah, it's. I have to remind her. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm going the speed limit. I'm driving safe. I'm not going to do anything. But
you know what's funny is that I remember when I was pregnant with Griffin and Augie, like me working out. I think initially was kind of like it was so different from when you guys were probably pregnant.
Yeah.
It wasn't the advice like to basically like lay as low as possible.
Working out in those days.
Pregnant or not, I don't remember working out very much.
Was fitness not a big?
I know. I walked a lot. I walked a lot. I would push Matt in a stroller around the neighborhood a lot.
Did they discourage you guys from going to the gym or doing any sort of fitness where they're saying, hey, don't?
Anybody was going to a gym.
I don't remember anybody going to a gym.
Yeah, I think the culture around fitness and like female fitness has definitely changed a lot.
It has.
But wasn't jazzercise a thing in the 70s? That was huge, right? All these fitness, like people in neon leotards with leggings.
Well, it was Jane Fonda.
Oh yeah, but that was at home.
Yeah.
That you put it on, your DVD or whatever.
What's funny is I've seen those, and they're like, this woman is so muscular, and it's like a thin woman now. Like people just weren't used to seeing women with like that were strong, with muscles. I don't think it was like encouraged like it is now in a way.
That's true. Probably not.
Yeah, because I remember actually I saw this. It was like the first female bodybuilder, and it was like a fit woman, but like now women's strength, like women can really put on a lot of muscle now, but they were like, I think it was like discouraged more than.
Do you remember the grapefruit diet? We did some research on diets of the past.
Yes, I've heard of that before.
Wait, really?
And apparently, I think this is all made up, but apparently the enzymes or whatever in the grapefruit were supposed to help your body metabolize food faster.
Yeah,
Was that ever something that you tried out?
I don't even know people really knowing the science behind those fad diets.
Did you guys ever do a fad diet?
Sure.
Probably.
I don't remember I remember hearing about the grapefruit diet, but I don't remember doing it.
I was in Tops clubs a couple times.
What Tops clubs? What's that?
No, this was actually so unacceptable.
And Weight Watchers, of course, too.
What was the line?
Yeah, didn't you have a mantra you had to say at your fitness class?
We had a thing we said.
Say it.
Wait, can you recite it?
I don't think so. The boys, my boys can, because they went with me to it.
You don't remember
I
it?
had to take them. I mean, it wasn't like I was going to get a babysitter for a Tops Club, so they went with me to Tops Club.
What does TOPS stand for?
Take off pounds sensibly.
Okay, Matt, this
Oh my
mantra
gosh.
was like so toxic. It was like, what a fool I've been.
No.
My excess poundage is on display for the world to see.
Yeah.
Wait, okay.
Yeah.
What
Say
can
it.
You know what? You probably could Google it.
What can you remember of the mantra? We'll Google it right now to see if we can pull it up. You said it's called TOPS?
I am an intelligent person. I will not use food to satisfy my frustrated desires, build up my injured ego, or dull my senses, or something like that.
That you still remember it is pretty
I know,
amazing, too.
My
That's about
dad
all.
remembers it. And I'm like, wow, talk about
Boys know
toxic
it.
diet culture.
It's still a thing. There's still a TOPS.org. It's a website.
Oh, really?
I'm sure it's
Tops
evolved.
pledge.
I'm sure they've rebranded to be less.
Toxic.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have learned a lot of. See, they didn't know the science. Just like you talk about those. I don't think anybody knew the science behind those diets. Do you?
I don't ever remember learning the
No,
science
Matt,
behind
Grandma
anything
had to
I
be
tried.
a part of a club where you had to pay if you didn't lose weight.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Wow.
you did. Let's see, something like that.
Yeah, like you had to weigh in, and if you,
had to
weren't
weigh in.
weighing in at your weight, you had to pay.
Really? Oh.
Grandma, you
Did you
had-
ever pay? Did that ever happen to
Probably.
you?
Well, yeah, I'm sure I did. I mean, I don't think it was very much. It was just probably a few cents or something. I mean, it wasn't a big amount of money.
That's so funny. No, I was cracking up because the amount of times I've heard Abby's dad say, my excess poundage is on display for the world to
Oh,
see.
so-
What a fool I've been.
Okay, here it is.
Wait, you found it?
It's from 1954. I am an intelligent person. I will control my emotions, not let my emotions control me. Every time I am tempted to use food to satisfy my frustrated desires, build up my injured ego, or dull my senses, I will remember, even though I eat in private, my excess poundage is there for all the world to see. What a fool I've been.
Oh, wow.
Wow, how the times have changed.
Oh.
They have.
Oh my gosh. I cannot imagine something like that existing. And then you took your kids to it. You're like, this is good for them to hear.
Did it work?
Well, kept me from getting obese.
No, that's crazy. I wonder when, it's still a thing, I guess. Like Tops is still a
Mostly
thing.
you were counting calories.
Interesting.
You were counting calories.
I even remember that as a kid, though, because I don't think they have these anymore. Remember those 100-calorie packs?
Sure.
They had snacks that were like portioned out into 100 calories.
Popcorn and all kinds of things.
Yeah, honestly, they tasted really good. I would just have to eat like 3 of them before I felt any.
I think some people still count calories today.
No, yeah. For sure. But I just think that people have maybe reworked, like, I guess mostly like how that kind of can. Maybe it's just not a way to like educate children on food and health overall.
You shouldn't beat yourself up about it.
Definitely shouldn't be yourself. Maybe you should call yourself what a fool I am.
Yeah, I know. That was
Even though I eat in private, my excess poundage is on display. If I look like the two of you, I will be so happy when I'm a great grandma, because you guys, you move great, you look great. I talk to you guys like friends, so you're very like with it grandmas. You're fun grandmas.
Well, we do. I certainly.
I
do
love
look
shopping
different
with
than
both
my
of you.
grandma. Do you remember your grandma?
Oh, yeah.
I love shopping with you guys too.
I don't feel like I'm as old as my grandma was when she was like 65 or something.
I know it. Women of that age,
They look
like my grandma, Nelson, she had a lot of kids. They didn't all survive.
Oh.
She had a rough life, really.
Oh.
It was hard. they did everything from scratch. At least my grandma did.
Even your mom did.
They worked hard. They worked hard.
They did.
So was that pretty countercultural for both of you to be in the workplace? Because it sounds like both of your moms probably were at home with the kids while their husbands
Yeah, that's true.
worked a job outside of the home.
I think when you're raised by parents like that, they want you to get an education.
Yeah.
And
Were you the first women in your families to get a college education?
well, in my immediate family, I was.
Really? Wow.
You weren't grandma?
My mother had a junior college degree at least. So.
Do you feel
And
like
then the war broke out, and that changed everything. World
Wow.
War II.
how old were you during World War II? You had to be really young.
Well, I was born in 44, so that was kind of, the war was still going on, but it was toward the end of it.
I guess like through your life, do you feel like you've seen women's rights? Like, this is kind of a deep question, but I'm just curious, have you seen women's rights change a lot throughout your life? Or do you feel like they're still,
Yes,
Oh,
they've
absolutely.
changed. Yeah, they've changed, that's for sure.
like in what ways? Do you think it's good progress?
I remember the burning of the bras.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Wait, what is the burning of the bras? I don't know what that is.
I don't know, what was that?
Just
The beginning of the feminist movement.
A movement of
Yeah.
the feminist movement.
Yeah.
Oh, like saying,
Issue.
I don't need a bra. I can just wear a shirt with no bra.
Well, I think it was more symbolic.
It was like symbolic of like
anything.
not wanting to be restrained.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's pretty progressive, but when you really think about it, it is weird that men are allowed to be shirtless, but women aren't. Legally.
What?
Well, because I've always never worn a shirt.
I don't consider that a problem.
I don't know, but it's kind of interesting though. Like, yeah, why is it that men don't have to have shirts and women it's illegal, right?
I think he just means the fact that it's punishable by law.
Yeah, like more so than a cultural thing, right?
I don't know. I can't even remember.
Maybe that's too
I can't even
progressive
believe
for
you're
you guys.
asking that
Maybe
question.
that's pushing it. Okay.
Well, I don't
Sorry,
even-
back to the burning of the bras. Let's talk back about that.
But I mean, certainly the opportunities for women have multiplied tremendously since I was a young woman.
Yeah,
and pay and just
opportunities.
Yeah, opportunities. I mean, you just had so many more. Well, I don't know what I'm saying here, but
when I was in high school, I remember thinking, well, do I want to be a nurse or do I want to be a teacher?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't really see any other.
Oh, that was it.
I didn't see other opportunities for women.
You couldn't be an engineer. If you wanted to be a female engineer, that
Nobody
wasn't really
was
a thing.
No, I never heard of a woman engineer. Really, I didn't. There may have been. I'm sure there were, but I
didn't know any.
But I didn't know. I didn't certainly know
or if
any.
You wanted, if you didn't want to go to college, then maybe you could be a secretary. But
that was like 3
secretary.
paths.
But a lot of women were secretaries.
But that's about all I can remember women being.
I remember I went to a school at Western Illinois University. It was very much of an agricultural school because that's an agricultural area. But at that time, I mean, I'm pretty sure there were no women in the agriculture department. But now I have a great niece. She's majoring in some phase of agriculture. And I have my husband had a cousin's daughter who is an agriculture teacher, and she's outstanding.
Thank you to Nutrafol for sponsoring this portion of today's episode.
Are you experiencing hair loss? I think both Abby and I have experienced that this past year. After having babies, Abby experienced the postpartum hair loss. I have experienced male pattern baldness, just being a dude. Hair loss is a thing, and Nutrafol is a great way to help combat that.
Yeah, hair shedding is completely normal and natural, and there's so many different reasons why you could be experiencing it, and that's why Nutrafol is great because it treats the multi reasons why you could be experiencing that, if that makes sense. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. I think that's really important to note also. They're very upfront about this is something that you have to see through, so 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
And I just think that's very open and honest about them because hair growth is a slow process sometimes.
Yes.
But I can tell you from experience, I've been able to grow my hair very long in a time that I was experiencing a lot of shedding.
It is stunning.
And I want to continue to grow it longer, so that's why I'm very diligent about taking my Nutrafol. It's physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients. Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within, like I was saying, by targeting key root causes of thinning, which is stress, hormones, aging, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through whole body health. And building a hair growth routine with Nutrafol is simple. You just purchase online. There's no prescription required. Automated deliveries and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, you can save up to 20%. You'll have access to free naturopathic doctor consults, and a Headspace membership is included, which I didn't even know. Very cool.
That's awesome.
The cold, dry air of winter can be unforgiving, but your hair doesn't have to suffer. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Unplanned. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code Unplanned. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Unplanned. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Grandma, I feel like I remember you saying that, if you could go back. I remember when I was talking about baby names with you for Griffin and Augie. I was just thinking about having a conversation about baby names. But I feel like I remember you saying something about how you thought it might be if it was if you could go back and name your daughter something more gender neutral. It might have been advantageous, on a job application or something like that.
That's probably true, but I don't remember saying that or thinking that.
I feel like I remember you saying that.
Really?
And I was like, that's interesting that you thought that because you were coming from a different era. Whereas, I was raised, thinking, girls can do whatever boys can do, That was, kind of, the big message to me growing up. And so, I thought that was just, I don't know, more of a symbol that we had been raised in different eras.
That's true.
And that was cool that you, I don't know, thought of that.
Maybe I did.
And I do tend to and I was man, I probably got that from my grandma, tend to gender neutral names for girls.
Vicky, was being a teacher because you had that role model in your life. Was that always your dream? It's what do you want to be when you grow up? A teacher. Was that what you always said as a kid?
I kind of think so.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I used to like to play school
And Diane, was that what you would say?
I liked school a lot when I was a kid. I loved school. I love my teachers. I don't know if they love me as much as I love them. They were pretty strict. They were strict. Teachers were pretty strict when I went to school.
How so?
I don't remember ever being hugged by a teacher when I was, really, they just didn't do that.
I think you guys grew up in a much more cutthroat time than we did.
And I think it was much different from even my dad. I remember him. I remember he admired his teachers very much. They were really respected in the community, and if you got in trouble in school, you were going to get in trouble at home too, because they really respected the teachers, and you did not ever disrespect a teacher. That has really changed.
Yeah.
What
was your dream job or your idea of what you wanted to do?
I never knew what I wanted to do. I still don't know what I want to do. But I always loved school, and I loved learning, and it just fell in like that.
Grandma, she can do she can do a lot of she did so many things. She made games. She published games.
Well, I always knew when we first started dating, your grandma was the tech lady. I was like,
techie.
how is your grandma? Your grandma's on Facebook. She was friending me on Facebook like the week after we started dating.
She's techie. She is good with travel.
And if we would have ever...
She made games.
If we would have ever broken up, I'd have been screwed because your grandma would have come after me on Facebook. I would have been done
That's
for.
me, yeah.
Yeah, that's not like them at all.
No, I did writing.
She did writing.
Published some things and have done some things in different areas, and I like it all. But is there any one thing I should have done and really narrowed my vision? And I still don't know that.
I feel like you also love products, coming up with a product and an invention. I feel like you and your brother kind of like that too. We always called her the gadget grandma because she would come up with gadgets.
Yeah, my brother invented things. I just like to buy.
Yeah, you're like, I'm
buy gadgets.
Like Shark Tank. You're like, I'm gonna buy that.
Excuse me.
That's cool.
Do you think that in our modern world we need a little bit more of that strictness that you guys had when you were kids? It sounds like teachers in school was a lot more hardcore. It was more black and white. It wasn't as, oh, you're not feeling well, go jump on the trampoline in the relax room, whatever. It seemed like it was very hardcore. Do you think it's good that we're moving towards this more understanding, empathetic culture?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
What do you think were the problems that
it all comes from the home.
Yeah.
It all stems from the home. And unfortunately, American family is just not what it used to be.
So you think it's gotten worse? You think things have gotten worse than they were back in the day?
I shouldn't say. I'm no expert.
Yeah. Or I guess
it feels that way.
Your perception, how you feel.
Yeah, it feels that way.
How you feel. That's so fascinating.
It's because part of it was the schools that I taught in.
I get what you're saying.
But your mother, you should have her on a podcast about.
She's a very tough guest to get on.
I'm always afraid to have family on the podcast because I want to protect them. So I'm like, everyone.
Well, yeah.
Be nice to my grandmas.
Yeah.
How do you feel if have you ever seen a mean comment towards us? You try not
probably,
to look,
but
or
I
you have?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have, but sure. I don't look too often.
How does it make you? Grandma's like, oh yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't want anybody saying
I know.
anything
I don't
against
like
my
it. That's
grandchildren.
why I don't look.
And most of it isn't true.
I know it.
Most of it's just somebody's
they're very
lashing out
uninformed.
for whatever reason. But
That's honestly the main reason why I hate the negative comments, because I'm like, I feel like someone that cares about me, like my grandmas or other family, I'm like, oh, that's gonna hurt them for more than me, because that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never wanted to say
it very often.
I don't.
You
don't look. I always tell them do not look.
Oh, your mom reads all those.
She screenshots them and sends them, and she's like, please block this person. I'm like, Mom, why are you in the comments anyway? But that's so funny.
I know sometimes I've been tempted to comment them, and I think, well, no, don't do that.
Have you ever gotten into a social media battle with somebody over comments?
No, I had to restrain Grandma on Facebook for the cover too.
Oh, that's right, you did. Did you have her password, or what did you do?
I was logged in on your Facebook for a period of time.
Really?
Well, I think she created a second account, or there was somebody that...
It was the political stuff. I was like, Grandma, we got it.
I know. Yeah, I know. I really try to cool it if I can.
No, you're good.
Diane, have you gotten political on your Facebook page before?
No, I never put post anything. Anybody that knows me
Yeah.
thinks I don't like them or something, because I don't know why, but I am so opposite of you guys in some respects, and that's one of them. I'm very private. Yeah.
Yes.
And don't put anything on. So.
What's a historical event that happened? Sorry, I'm a weird history nerd, so I like to ask questions like this. But like, what's a historical event that you can look back on and you remember where you were, you remember what you were doing, you know the time it was?
9/11.
9/11.
Of course.
Where were you?
I was teaching. It was recess, and we were in the basement of the school where the restrooms are, monitoring kids. And one of my colleagues came up to me and said that a passenger plane has been, what was her word? What was the word
Flew
for?
into the Twin Towers, or flew into one of the towers?
Hijacked.
Okay.
A passenger plane has been hijacked and flown into one of the Trade Center buildings. And I just remember, I just remember those, I'm trying to comprehend those words that she just said to me. I thought, how could that be? And I remember, it was just shocking to all of us. And as soon as there was then that was recess. I think they put a TV on in the resource center, and we all went in there and were watching, and we were just stunned. I don't know how else to express it. Just stunned. What is going on in this world that this could happen? It was just stunning.
And where were you?
Shocking.
Was that something that you remember where you were?
I was at the store at the time,
Okay.
and I remember too that my son-in-law is a pilot, and he was going to be in New York at that time, and that was a double scare.
Yeah.
And I ended up calling him. Probably I shouldn't have while he was on the plane, but I was just so worried, and he was okay, of course. But it was a terrible time.
It was horrible.
Terrible time.
Don't you wish that those memories that we can all recall so easily, that are just drilled into our brain, wish it could be a positive thing, I feel like when you ask people what a historical event was, they say 9/11, or some people will say JFK.
I remember that.
I
remember that too?
I know right where I was.
I do too.
Where were you when JFK was assassinated? Because was that in the 60s?
Yeah, it would have been like
63, was it?
60, maybe 64, 63, 64.
So you're about our age.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was
I was a student.
I was in high school.
Okay.
And I was in the locker room after PE class. I mean, when to say remember where you were.
Yeah,
I
you
remember
do.
where my locker was and where I was standing.
Yeah, I know,
when
I do
it came
Yeah.
across the PA system. So
That must have been
older than her.
terrifying. I mean, you hear the president is
Yeah.
assassinated. Did you think the whole country was going to go into
you
turmoil?
didn't know. It was a very
horrible.
scary time.
I know. I was getting ready to make an observation. I was in college at the lab school. My college had a school where it was just a regular school, but it was used for teacher training. And I was waiting to make an observation, and I just was observing the body language of people. I remember there was a science teacher who had a cart with all his science paraphernalia on it. He was probably go from class to class to teach. And there was a janitor, and they stopped and they talked, and shook his head back and forth, and I thought, I just could tell there was something wrong. I thought, what is going on here? And then finally, somebody came up to me and told me that the president had been shot. I don't remember if I knew that he died yet or not.
I don't think he didn't die right away. I think he was later in the hospital.
Well,
from what I remember.
I think he might have died, but he wasn't pronounced dead.
Yeah.
I think he was pretty gone when they shot him. But yeah, it was. And then I just so happened I had a history class after that. To go, and of course that's all the history teacher was talking about. We didn't do any. Obviously, did nothing about school. Just talking about that, and that I think it was a Friday, wasn't it?
It's so interesting because now, like, events like that there's so much conversation because of social media. I feel like it kind of changes I mean, it changed a lot of things for these like major events that happen and like the discussion afterwards.
Well, I know where I was when someone attempted to assassinate Trump.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'll always remember that. And I think what's interesting is obviously the election just happened. There was a lot of people that were fearful of what things would look like on both sides. People on both sides were scared of the candidate they didn't want getting elected because of, fear of something happening. And I find it so interesting that both you ladies lived through the Vietnam War, the Cold War, assassinations on presidents, like so many things happened, and here you are, and you guys didn't even have car seats when you brought your kids home from the hospital, and somehow it all worked out. And I feel like that kind of gives
Their
me...
generation is tougher than our generation.
Yeah, maybe your generation's tougher than ours, but it kind of gives me hope. I'm like, hey, they survived. They were able to make it, and look at the beautiful life they've lived and the beautiful children and grandchildren they've gotten to have. So I think that's
I want to ask them what it was like to become great grandparents.
Oh, that's sweet.
Because I am selfishly so grateful that my kids are the first for both. Like, because I was the first. I knew what it felt like to be the first grandchild on both sides. I was like, it was the best. So I want that for my kids too. So I was kind of in a race. But what was it like?
Except that it made me feel bad that I should be old enough to be a great
I was wondering if there was that in there too.
But, it just made me think everybody's not everybody, obviously. So many people are waiting to have children until they're in their 30s or whatever. And what a blessing it is to be able to enjoy those kids.
Yes.
I mean, it's just,
it's a blessing for them. I'm so like, they don't even know how good they have it. Like, they have so many people.
They have so many grandmas.
They have so many grandmas. And, not even just like, you guys are great grandmas that are on the floor playing with the kids. Like, you're sitting on the ground crisscross applesauce with them. So involved, picking them up, and they are heavy kids.
Don't pick them up very easily.
But like, you're so sprightly and good with them. Like, it's not like, I don't know. Like I say, like the kids are so blessed to have you guys, and you guys are such fun, lively grandmas for them. I never feel right we've started saying Gigi or grandma. I think that Griffin's just confused. Like, he knows that you're all his grandmas and Gigi's, but he's just like, he doesn't know that
all those ladies are grandmas.
Yeah, he's like, they all love me and take care of me.
What should we do though? Should we have like two different variations of Gigi? Right? Because like, if you're both Gigi, it's like, which Gigi are we talking about?
Griffin seems to call me grandma because Abby does.
Yeah, and I call you grandma, but then I feel like I also started calling you Gigi because that's what mom calls you.
But then
Gigi.
my mom is grandma. Like, Griffin calls my mom grandma.
And he calls my mom
gonna be
honey.
confused.
Yeah, he's very confused.
So I think
he
we need to
associates you with a dog, and he associates you with bunnies.
Should we have GGD and GGV?
GGD.
GGD.
That sounds like a bad DJ. GGV. GGV's even worse.
You're hilarious. GGD. That's funny.
They'll talk to someone like their teacher and be like, yeah, GGD is picking me up.
I don't think they can really say grandma.
He says gamma or grandma.
They have their own
Poor
little way
kid
of
can't say his
saying
own name yet.
He still says Fribbin. Fribbin do it.
Fiffin.
Fiffin
It's so
do
cute.
it.
He can say his little brother's name
We'll
because
work
it's
on
easier to
his
pronounce.
name, and then we'll work on
GGG.
GGG, and then
You don't really care what they call you, just so you have a relationship with them.
exactly. I think it's so sweet.
That is really sweet. Yeah,
Should we do the rapid fire questions?
Oh yeah, we have some rapid fire questions for you guys.
Wish I'd
These are
seen
kind of
them
fun.
ahead
You
of
want to pull
time.
those up, babe? I feel like you should lead the charge because you're on it.
First of all, I want to know what's the best health tip you've ever received because you both look so good.
I think to eat protein so you're satisfied. Make
Yeah.
I
sure you
love
get-
that.
That's good.
I think that's.
You always say that too.
Yeah, I believe that too. And keep moving. And
Yes,
just
keep moving.
Keep active.
What was your first job?
Go first.
Full-time job?
Just job
No,
in general.
any job.
First paying job.
Yeah, first job that paid
I
you money.
worked at Penny's over Christmas time.
Oh, cute.
I worked at a variety store in my hometown, which was a very small town. I probably got the job because the people who owned the store, I went to church with them. And I think I was 16. I think it was. I got 60 cents an hour.
60 cents?
Yeah, I did. I guess I wasn't good help.
Oh my
I never
goodness.
even got a raise. I would work from 12 to 5 on Saturdays.
Wow.
So what does that get
It's a
you?
variety store.
Like
and were you 16?
$3.
$3.
$3 for the, and actually $3 would buy a whole lot more back then.
I'm
than
sure.
it will now. Yeah.
And
would
this
that get
was-
you a tank of gas?
I wasn't driving. Well, I guess I would be about the age where I was getting a license, but I don't think I put gas in the car. I think my parents did.
That was nice. What's the worst fashion trend you lived through?
I used to get a fro. I would get a permanent every 3 months. I would get a fro.
Just like a really
it was
tight
so
perm?
easy to take care of.
I tried to get rid of my
Yeah,
natural
grandma.
fro.
Something you probably don't know
I got a
about
perm.
grandma.
She didn't.
You
is
got a
that
natural
She
fro.
has natural, really tight ringlet curls, which I love your curls. I think it's so fun.
I did go back to it, you know.
Yeah, you did for a while
5 or
there.
6 years ago when we first moved, but yeah, it wasn't me.
You didn't like it?
No.
What was your favorite family recipe?
My mom was a good cook. Is that what you mean?
She made good noodles.
Yeah, she did, and I didn't get a recipe. I've never made a noodle in my life.
Like homemade noodles.
Wow.
Like rolling them out in gravy over mashed potatoes, which was just starch and starch and starch. They were delicious, though.
Yeah, my dad would have a big garden, and she would freeze and can the vegetables and fruits. And
Who in your family made the pasties?
Well, that goes back to
Grandpa?
my relatives in northern Minnesota.
Okay.
So it goes back to, in fact, we went for a night or so on our honeymoon up to Sand Lake in Minnesota, and my grandmother up there, my step grandmother, taught me to make pasties on our honeymoon.
We need to make those
because
again.
that's what brides do. That's what the women do. Yeah.
You learned to cook on your
pasties
honeymoon.
It's a Cornish. The miners used to take it in their lunches when they were, and it's like every culture has some kind of thing in dough.
Yeah.
In Mexican, it's like
empanada or whatever, and it's just with beef and potatoes and carrots and rutabaga. Yeah, and
We should make those again.
we should. And we used
You
to
got to
make-
cover it in ketchup, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
covered it. And different places in Michigan and all, they are still prominent, maybe in northern Minnesota, although, I mean, you can go in, they'll have pasty stands and all.
Well, there's
So-
even where we went to college. I was like, Matt, we need to go here. They have pasties. I haven't
yeah.
seen that. Like, only
So,
Grandpa made those.
yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work to make them.
Yeah.
And we used to make them at Christmas when you guys would come off or whatever. But
I'm really curious about this one. What advice would you give to your 25-year-old self? I'm 25 right now.
a lot. A lot of advice.
my 25-year-old self, I would have had a child by that time. I guess, just don't sweat the small stuff and just enjoy.
That's good. That's good. Because I think it is easy to just like get hung up on the details or compare to other moms, especially with that early stage. Because I don't know, it's such a unique stage where you're like in a little bubble and you can easily look and see to the right or left. Oh, what are they doing? How are things going? So that's good. Okay. What invention of your lifetime has amazed you the most?
Being the gadget grandma,
Yeah.
I like lots of inventions.
I remember when you
Yeah.
got the Wii Fit board at
Oh
in the
my
basement of
God.
your house, and we were like, "This is high tech." We're gonna lose weight on this board, and like,
I think just the computerized anything.
I remember hearing about computers being called, the information highway, and I didn't quite know what they meant, but boy, do I know now. I mean, it's just awesome what you can
you should see her all day, every day.
learn.
She's in the car. She's like, "What's the 91st Psalm?" Like and she's like, "What is the name
Google things.
of?"
It's
Like
just-
she's talking into her phone all day.
No, not all day, but Yeah.
Grandma's sending me virtual birthday cards with my name AI'd into it.
Oh, yeah,
That is
she's
awesome.
really good at that.
Are you into
She's
the
been doing that for years, though.
She has.
Are you both into AI? Are you using AI?
I'm
No,
using AI somewhat.
I don't
Little.
even. I don't.
Grandma's unknowingly using AI because when she's Googling it.
Am I using it? Oh, my. I've heard be careful with it, but I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know much about that.
Final question.
Oh, okay.
Do you listen to our podcast?
I do.
I do. I mean, I certainly haven't listened to 100.
I missed a few, but
Wow.
most of them.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's really sweet.
I can't honestly say I've listened to most of them, but I watch you on Instagram all the time. There's
Yes.
not a day goes
Grandma,
by for
trust
which
me.
I don't Instagram. But I do watch the podcasts, especially the people that I know.
Yes.
If I don't know them, but I have watched a few that I didn't know. But mostly it's the people that I kind of know that I've watched.
Yeah.
And I've watched, like I say, I've watched some of the others too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Obviously, you don't have to do that. You can just give us a call if you need to know what's going on. Sometimes I'm like, wow, love that my grandmas are listening to her.
Yeah, we've definitely shared a lot on here.
I know the grandmas
That's
are.
true. Yeah.
Oh,
Sometimes
gosh, all right.
we wish
Well, we
you
didn't need to know
share
that.
some of the stuff you share, but
Oh, man.
She's told me about a couple that she wished we didn't. Trust me.
Yikes,
That's
okay.
the thing about Vicky. I'm never going to be left wondering what she's thinking about anything.
See, I just assumed this podcast is all a bunch of 20
Remember the time that she got mad at you for
25-year-old married
reading Harry
couples.
Potter?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
we
last
gotta
week.
Wait, we got to tell that story.
oh,
Can we tell?
don't. Just cut it there. Let it in there. Come on.
Hey, this is kind of therapeutic. We can work this out. It's okay.
She does
Let's-
not want
Therapy for who?
I don't know.
For whom?
Maybe for both of us.
No, that's the other thing about you, Grandma. Is
I'm
we'll
sorry
never,
for reading Harry Potter. I know that you're
We'll
not a
never
huge fan
wonder
of that
what
book
she's
series.
thinking.
Hey, I appreciate that since you didn't like that I was reading Harry Potter, you came in and you directly told me via text message, but you still...
No, I just suggested you might read something else, but that wasn't that I was all. I started reading Harry Potter and thought it was really good, but I got kind of dark, so I
Yeah. I
Hey,
see
So
that.
then I quit.
And I get it. And I thought it was hilarious that I got roasted once you realized it was more of a children's book. You were like, well, why is Matt reading a children's book? What's
Actually,
going
I know
on
a
there?
lot of adults that read them. I know a lot of adults that read the Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because a lot of people I knew were teachers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I love children's literature.
Well, this is fun. Maybe I think I'm glad now that we know you guys listen to our podcast. We'll be more aware of what we say going forward.
Matt, we should have always been that. I'm always
I
thinking
just
that.
assumed it was everyone that's like 25 and married and has children. I forget that our
They were
grandparents
once
could
25
be
and
watching
married and
this.
had children.
Well, I have really enjoyed getting to
I just
chat
have
with
to
you.
say-
Oh, yeah.
I want you to know that if you're watching this and you have a grandparent that you have a good relationship to reach out to, this is your reminder. Give them a call.
Yes.
I should definitely do that more, but then also I just feel so thankful to have a close relationship with our grandparents. If you're missing a grandparent, I'm right there with you. My heart hurts for you too. And just thank you guys both so much for being on here. And you guys truly mean, now I'm crying. You guys both mean so much to me. And when I think about role models in my life, you two are the people that jump to the forefront of my mind. Amazing, servant-hearted, humble, generous, just amazing women that I've gotten to look up to my whole childhood into adulthood now. Amazing role models, and I don't take it lightly because most people don't get that. And
Well,
so thankful for you
you
guys and
are.
your constant support now and as all growing up. Just so thankful, so blessed.
Well, we're blessed by you, Abby.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I couldn't get out without crying. You know that. It's the lights. I feel like it's the pressure of it all. But I truly do mean every word I say. And yeah, I always hesitant having family because they're so precious to me. And I feel like my work is sometimes even though it's so personal, it's separate from my family
Yeah.
life. And I really prioritize to preserve my family life. But I appreciate you guys stepping into my work life today and doing this. And
Yeah.
we're buying your dinner.
Yeah, we're buying your dinner. And like Abby said, call your grandma, call your grandpa, call your parents. If you don't have grandparents, call your parents because family is so important. And if you don't have family, call someone and tell them that you
can
love
choose
them.
your family too.
Yeah, you can. That's the crazy thing. You can choose your family. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes people
We
are.
have some chosen family members
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So just tell someone that you love them today, and yeah, we hope that you learned something from this. I know I did. I learned. I always love talking to people who have lived more life than me, because there's so much wisdom that you gain from that.
Yeah.
So thank you both. Thank you to both of you.
They made me who I am.
Let's give it up for the
Seriously.
grandmas.